if the economy goes bad, and the predictions are weakening, you keep talking about headwinds and things, are you prepared to go into deficit?
Well, we have got projected surpluses, and that has been
but if it
backed up
turns
by
bad, if the figures keep dropping.
Well, my view, and it's been reinforced by the pre-election fiscal outlook, which is the independent analysis by Treasury and Finance, is that our economic forecasts are sound, and that our projected surpluses of $45 billion of the forward estimates.
So you
are clear.
say it won't happen.
But here's the nub of your question. At a time of economic headwinds globally and domestically, it's not the time to hit the economy with $387 billion of high taxes. And what Chris failed to do with his costings announcement is actually explain the negative impact on the economy by hitting retarees with a tax, a housing tax, super tax and income tax.
Mr. Bowen, will you, if the economy turns bad, and there are bad signs there, will you go into deficit if necessary?
Well, we're actually forecasting bigger budget surpluses under us because we believe that that's a necessary buffer.
But the latest RBA wages figures are clearly downgraded.
Well, they've been downgraded in every budget that the Liberals have brought down.
And Labor.
Wages growth going.
Downgraded.
All right, so we do
need to get wages growth going.
Happen.
Well, I do agree with that, and we need to reverse the penalty rate cuts. We need to have a living wage. I mean, Josh says he wants higher wages until he sees an idea that'll actually bring it around. And you are right, Neil, to point to this, that a lot of Josh's projected surpluses are based on wages growth returning to a higher level, and there's absolutely no evidence of that.
Neil, if you believe that, Chris Bowen, when he says we'll give you more tax cuts, we'll give you more budget surpluses, we'll also whack you with higher taxes, and if you believe all of that will lead to a rosy economy, pigs may fly.
Well, the fact of the matter is, under a Labor government, you get more investment in health and education, you get fairer taxes, we'll close down and reform tax concessions and loopholes which aren't fair, and you'll have bigger budget
not fair to retirees, not fair to homeowners.
And you'll have bigger budget surpluses.
Is it a bit about wealth redistribution?
Well, it's about making the tax system fairer, Neil. That is the case. There are a lot of concessions and loopholes which aren't fair, which do benefit high wealth individuals. But Josh would have you believe that this will, impact on many, many people. The fact of the matter is 96% of Australians unaffected by abolition of franking credits.
Your leader keeps saying the top end of town. What is the top end of town?
Well, I mean,
what's wealthy?
Well, we can have these debates about
I think we need to,
and what's not. But our tax reforms are carefully targeted, Neil. 95% of superannuants unaffected.
And
98% of people unaffected by our family trust reforms.
Unintended consequences here?
No, we've designed it carefully. I mean,
we've got people
Australia,
on $50,000 going to lose 10% because of the franking credits. Well, 50 grand isn't rich.
Well, but to get those sorts of dividends and franking credits, it means that you have accumulated, and good luck to them. I respect how hard they've worked and how hard they've saved. You've accumulated a pool of savings for retirement. But we are the only country in the world. We are the only country in the world that provides a tax refund to people who haven't paid income tax.
But if you put franking credits, the capital gains tax, the negative gear. I mean, the negative gearing figures show the average income of people with negatively geared property is about $85,000 a year. Taxable income, yes.
Taxable. Well, that's completely irrelevant because that's reducing the tax. That's reducing the amount of tax paid using the concessions.
Do you accept that these measures do reach beyond that top end of town and hit some people who are not wealthy?
Again, negative gearing reform is fully grandfathered. It doesn't have impact on anybody who's currently done it.
No, but it doesn't.
Has a property. And doing it going forward, you can still do it. We just say, work with us, increase housing supply, invest in something new. It's a carefully calibrated...
Why not just limit the number of houses? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we looked at all that.
He's had a great run there, but look, let me explain.
No, he hasn't.
Let me explain to you the facts here, right? When it comes to negative gearing, Wayne Swan, now the President of the Labor Party, when he was Treasurer, said it would be economically disastrous to change negative gearing. Now, to Chris's point, he came up with this policy when housing prices were going up. Now housing prices have come down. It's the worst possible time to send people's rents up and their housing values down. When it comes to the retirees tax, he's made more than 1 million Australians feel like tax cheats when all they've done is diligently save for their own retirement. And Simon Crean, when he was the Shadow Treasurer, said that this would, quote, improve the current taxation situation faced by low-income investors, especially retired Australians. And I could go on. There's a tax on trusts and tax on tradies and higher taxes on super and higher taxes taxes on income earners, and basically
What's the tax
whatever
on tradies,
whatever the question is.
Yeah, what is the tax on tradies?
The tax is to
the
change
rich tax.
the
wealth tax.
No, it's a superannuation change where it makes it more difficult to save it. And what about catch-up contributions? If you're a woman who leaves the workforce to raise your kids, Chris is now saying you can't make up a catch-up contribution.
I want to go to
hurting
what
women.
Bracket
Hurting
doesn't
women.
do you any good. We really do need to move on to a couple of other issues. If that's
Can I just briefly, Neil?
Sure,
I don't want to. I just want to go to what Josh. I want to just outline what Josh is defending here. The situation he's defending on franking credits. He's defending the situation at the moment. Whereas if you earn $67,000 as a nurse, say, you pay $13,000 a year tax. Many of your listeners would be in that bracket. But if you earn $67,000 in dividends through a self-managed super fund, you don't pay income tax, okay, and you get a tax refund of around $27,000. So we take $13,000 off the nurse and we send a cheque for $27,000 to somebody on the same income who's in a self-managed super fund in retirement. I don't think that's fair.
How many
Josh is
people
defending
are
that. I don't think that's fair.
You're not comparing an apple
Well, I
with
am.
an apple. You're comparing an apple with
$67,000
an
of
orange.
income.
Because you're
$67,000 of income, that is
you're
apples with
talking
apples.
about an income earner,
Gentlemen,
and you're talking about
can I
someone
get
who's
back to
investing
the
in
basic
shares.
point, though? Mr. Bowen, do you accept that these measures will affect people who are not wealthy?
They're carefully designed to make the tax
Yes, I
system
know,
fairer.
but will it affect some people who are not wealthy?
Well, as I said, I accept that many people negatively get with grandfather, and you can still do it going forward.
So are you saying it will not affect people who are not wealthy?
$6 billion a year on franking credit refunds to people who haven't paid income tax. Of course, what we do is at the moment, it's reverse means tested. The more shares you own, the bigger refund you get. We'll leave it for pension. I want to make this point, Neil.
Yeah, but I want to get an answer to the question.
Pensioners are the ones who we've decided in Australia, that's where we've put the cut-off for support. We will leave franking credits in place for pensioners, full and part. They are unaffected by our reforms. That's how we ensure that the policy becomes much more targeted.
That's not true. Pensioners are affected, and they've exempted unions and union-backed funds for targeted self-funded retirees.
You're just making things up again, Josh.
What are you making up?
The pensioners aren't affected? Please answer that question. Are pensioners affected by your policy?
We have a pensioner guarantee.
But a pensioner is affected.
To people. Well, I've answered the question on multiple occasions.
The question is, are pensioners affected?
No.
Anyone, not one pensioner?
Because, Josh, what we've done is if you're in a full or part pension, you're exempt. And we've said that if you're going forward, if you take out a self-managed super fund as a pensioner, right, so we've made it very, very clear.
Yeah.
Very, very
Keep
clear.
going,
You've
keep
made
going.
things up, and the
Keep
point
going.
about union funds.
Keep digging.
Josh,
Keep digging.
The point about union
pensioners
funds
affected.
is a lie as well. I've told you multiple occasions.
Okay, can we now move on to
others,
some other
the
things?
pensioners are not affected.